she eased open the shack's warp door and discovered $150 million stashed behind panels untouched for 4 decades. But hold that thought, tap subscribe now, because tomorrow's tale is going to melt your brain. Lila scrubbed the oil from her palms for the 4th time that dawn, yet the black stayed under her nails like a tattoo. The truck stop grill had fused with her blood, her breath, her marrow-deep fatigue. She flicked her eyes to the clock over the deep fryer, 5:51 a.m. 3 more hours here, then sprint to the warehouse, then spelling words with Noah, then blackout sleep, then rewind. The pass-through bell dinged. Jamal poked his head in. Booth 8 says the hash browns are soggy. Lila gave a tight nod, already dumping fresh potatoes onto the sizzling steel. No pushback left in her. Just flip, plate, grin, endure. That's what Solo Moms mastered, endurance. Her phone vibrated against her hip. She let it die. Personal calls on the clock shaved minutes off the paycheck, and every minute fed Noah's inhaler copay, the water bill screaming final in red, the pickup that coughed blue smoke on every right turn. It buzzed again. Again. Then rang like a fire alarm. You claiming that? Jamal asked, one brow arched. Lila shook her head, sliding pancakes, but dread coiled cold in her gut. Nobody hammered her line unless the world cracked open, unless Noah fell off the monkey bars, unless the clinic needed a signature, unless the ring kept coming. Step out, Jamal muttered, gentler. I got the line. Lila shoved through the screen door into the gravel lot, October wind slicing her grease-spattered shirt. She thumbed redial while fishing for the smoke she'd sworn off last payday. 7 missed calls, unknown prefix. Carver and Partners, Probate Division, a crisp voice answered. May I speak with Lila Delgado? This is she. I'm contacting you about the estate of Beatrice Holloway, your great-aunt, correct? Lila's cigarette drooped, ash scattering. Aunt B.A. A ghost from childhood, last seen at a picnic when Lila was 8, the old woman perched on a folding chair in widow's weeds, everyone else whispering about the hermit up on the ridge. Yeah, my Nana's sister. I regret to inform you Ms. Holloway passed 2 weeks ago. You're listed in the will. The reading is tomorrow, 1 p.m. Can you be present? Lila barked a laugh that tasted like rust. Tomorrow she pulled doubles. Noah had soccer tryouts. Her checking account held $9 and change until Thursday. I'm booked solid. Ms. Delgado, attendance is strongly recommended. You're a primary beneficiary. Beneficiary. The word landed like a foreign coin. People like her inherited overdue notices, not miracles. What exactly did she leave? Lila asked, bracing for a chipped teacup, a box of yellowed letters. That's disclosed at the reading. 1 o'clock. Our office is Midtown, address incoming. Click. She stared at the cracked screen. Couldn't spare the diesel for the 40-minute drive. Couldn't burn a shift. Couldn't risk the flicker of hope. That night, after Noah's breathing evened out under his superhero blanket, Lila hunched over their wobbly card table and dredged up Aunt B.A. Fragments only, a tall figure with iron gray braids, same navy dress at every gathering, relatives huddling post-departure, voices dripping pity. Batty as a moth in a jar, her own mother had hissed. Rattling around that shack, no man, no kids. Some life. Lila scanned their own 2 rooms, Noah's bedroom, the corner partitioned by a bookcase, walls thin enough to catch the upstairs couple's 2 a.m. arguments, fridge humming like a dying bee, but it was theirs. She'd held a ceiling over Noah's head for 11 years, solo. Maybe Aunt B.A. would have nodded at that brand of stubborn. The memories sharpened under the single bulb above the folding table. Aunt B.A. at Thanksgiving, palming Lila a folded tenner when the adults were drunk on eggnog. Feed your brain first, kid, she'd rasped. Lila recalled those hands, scarred, rope calloused, grease under every nail. Nothing like the lacquered claws of the other Graytons. She could still see BEA under the hood of her rusted Chevy in the VFW lot, sleeves rolled high, relatives gawking from the glass doors like she'd grown horns. Next morning, Lila did the unthinkable. She phoned in dead. "You're pulling my leg," the grill boss barked. "Family crisis," she said. "Family crisis means don't come back, Delgado." 5 years of splatter burns and 4 a.m. grease traps, poof. Her pulse hammered while she dialed the warehouse. "Need the day, death in the family." "Take whatever you need, hun," the foreman said, voice soft as flannel. Lila almost sobbed at the mercy. She wrestled Noah into his church shirt, the one with the frayed collar saved for funerals and class photos, then tugged on her own blazer, interview armor, hem stapled with packing tape. "Where we headed, Mama?" Noah asked, knees bouncing in the booster. "To hear about Great Aunt BA. The mountain lady I told you about. The Dragon Witch." Lila's knuckles whitened on the wheel. "Not a witch. Just her own zip code." "Like you," Noah said, matter of fact. "I care what people think." "No you don't. When the PTA said the zoo trip was too pricey, you picked up Friday Graves and paid it anyway." Lila swallowed the sudden salt in her throat. When had her kid turned into a mirror? The law firm smelled of lemon polish and old money. Marble echoed under her thrift store flats. Noah's sneakers squeaked beside her. Strangers trickled in, second cousins, a great-uncle on wife number 4, and Lila's stomach dropped. She knew those faces from her father's wake, same side eyes, upgraded watches. A voice like chilled champagne, "Lila Delgado, as I live and breathe." Valerie loomed, diamonds flashing, Botox smooth as plastic. Married into timber money, never missed a chance to remind the room. "Hey, Val." Valerie's gaze snagged on the tape at Lila's hem, lips pursing. "Didn't peg you for a beneficiary. How's it life?" "Life. One syllable for 11 years of double shifts." "Hanging in," Lila lied. "Still slinging hash at that roadside joint, Rusty's." Lila didn't mention the pink slip still warm in her pocket. "Charming. And this is Noah?" "My, time flies. I'm your cousin Valerie, darling." Noah burrowed into Lila's hip. "Nope." Valerie's smile twitched. She leaned in, voice a conspiratorial hiss. "Any clue what the old bat squirreled away?" "That ridge is gold, condos, resorts. My husband's already got surveyors on standby." "No idea," Lila said. "Of course not." Valerie's laugh could cut crystal. Though Lord knows she pinched every penny. Probably vacuum-sealed in the floorboards. Morkin poured in. Uncle Raymond, toupee askew, arm-around trophy wife number 3. Cousin Derek with the Rolex and the startup that almost went public. They formed a murmuring clot. 50 acres, elevation, creek frontage, rezoning's a rubber stamp. Woman never bought new underwear. Bet it's all in mason jars. Nobody met Lila's eyes. She was furniture. Noah wasn't. He shrank against her as the herd funneled into the boardroom. The attorney, Mr. Carver, stood barely 5'6", eyes gentle behind wire rims. He waited for the rustle to die, then tapped the table. "Thank you for coming." Mr. Carver lifted a single sheet, edges crisp as frost. Ms. Holloway left explicit instructions that her words be read first. He cleared his throat and let Beatrice's voice fill the room. Asterisk family, if that word still fits. "You're here because death smells like opportunity. In life you dodged my table, my tails, my open door. Now you sniff for crumbs I never hid. I buried nothing. I planted. Eyes that earned calluses will harvest. Eyes that count only green will reap dust. Read on." Asterisk. The leather chairs creaked, 12 necks craned like geese. Mr. Carver set the letter down. Last will and testament, revised 5 months ago. To nephew Raymond, who mocked my errati paperbacks. I leave a complete 1920s run of National Geographic. May the world finally outgrow your living room. Raymond flushed crimson. Magazines. His wife patted his knee. Some issues fetch hundreds, dear. To niece Valerie, who pitied my humble shack. I leave Grandma's hand-painted teacups. May you learn grace fits in small vessels. Teacups. Valerie's voice cracked like porcelain. One by one the barbs landed. A pocket watch to the cousin forever late. A hand mirror to the aunt obsessed with filters. A rusted plumb bob to the uncle who never finished a thing. The room curdled from gree to grievance. At last. And to my great-niece, Lila Delgado. Who learned solitude is not the same as surrender. Who forged shelter from splinters and still asked for 0 handouts. I bequeath the ridge cabin, all 51 acres, and every nail within. May she discover what waits for hands that know work. Silence cracked open. Valerie's laugh ricocheted off mahogany. The shack? She left you the shack. Winter cuts the access road by November, Raymond snorted. Good luck with the septic. Bet the raccoons unionized, Derek muttered. Laughter slithered around the table. Lila felt heat crawl up her neck, but Noah's fingers laced through hers, small, steady. Conditions, Mr. Carver cut in, voice steel. The parcel cannot be sold, leased, or rezoned for 5 years. Lila must arrive within 30 days of this reading. She may bring only her child. No agents, no surveyors, no spouses. Valerie rolled her eyes. Why chain a gift nobody wants? Mr. Carver met Lila's gaze. Your aunt said the reason would stand up and greet you. Raymond leaned forward. Greet us with what, cobwebs? Enough, the lawyer snapped. He slid a thick craft envelope across the table. Lila's name in Beatrice's spidery ink. Asterisk open only after you've knelt on my floorboards. Asterisk. Outside, the parking lot baked under noon glare. The relatives scattered like smoke once the scent of cash proved imaginary. Lila clutched the envelope, deed, hand-sketched map, a brass key on a leather cord. Noah tugged her sleeve. Mama, you sad. She crouched, eye level. Not even close. They laughed at us. People laugh at maps they can't read. She pictured Beatrice, 40 winters alone, same indigo dress starched for every reunion, chin high while whispers hissed behind napkins. The straight spine despite the whispers. Thought about her own life, the daily grind none of those manicured cousins could spell, let alone survive. Not every treasure jingles, Lila told the empty kitchen. That night, after Noah's snores rattled the thin wall, she unfolded the map across the card table. The ridge lay for hours northwest, past the last cell tower. Beatrice had annotated every bend in brown ink. Asterisk veer right at the lightning-scarred pine. Ford the creek where the water runs clear over white stone. If you spot the rusted milk can on a stump, backtrack. Asterisk. Lila traced the ink with a cracked fingernail. Gas would eat the last 20 in her wallet. She'd pack bologna sandwiches, a jug of water, and pray the pickup's ball tires held the grade. The diner was already a memory, one more absence from the warehouse and rent would bounce like a bad check. This is reckless, she told the humming fridge. But her duffel was already half-packed. Dawn barely lit the parking lot when she shook Noah awake. Road trip, bud. To the Dragonwitch Castle. To Aunt B.A.'s place. And she breathed fire only when necessary. Noah grinned, sleep rumpled. So, good witch. Something like that. They rolled out with a thermos of weak coffee, 2 flashlights, and a bag of off-brand granola bars. Lila checked the oil, low but not fatal, kicked each tire, and sent up a wordless plea to whatever saint watched over single moms with overdue tags. On the interstate, Noah asked, "What if the house is enchanted?" Lila caught his eyes in the mirror, bright, undimmed by eviction notices or generic cereal. "Then we'll read the spell together. Cities thin to strip malls, then corn stubble, then pine that swallowed the sky." The asphalt quit without warning, gravel pinged the undercarriage like hail. Noah dozed against the window, mouth open. Lila's doubts kept pace with the engine. Mice, rot, a roof that would bankrupt her to patch, she catalogued every disaster. She'd be jobless, deeper in the hole, for what? A sentimental field trip? But Beatrice had seen her. Out of the Rolex parade, the old woman had marked the kid who changed her own oil in the church lot while the family pretended not to watch. Asterisk 27 Maples on the left. Asterisk Beatrice had written. Lila counted aloud, voice cracking on 26. 27. A granite boulder squatted beside the road, moss beard to its chest. Behind it, choked by kudzu, a gate crouched like a sleeping bear. She killed the engine. Cold knifed through her jacket. Noah. Boots on. We are here. They stepped into air sharp enough to taste metal. The gate was wrought iron, paint flaking in rust petals. The padlock looked older than Noah. Lila tried 3 keys before the 4th side open. Together they shoved, hinges screamed, then surrendered. A tunnel of trees arched overhead, roots buckling the dirt track into a washboard. "It's Narnia," Noah breathed. Lila thought more asterisk Blair Witch asterisk, but swallowed it. They climbed back in and eased forward, tires crunching through decades of fallen needles. Branches clawed the fenders like jealous fingers. The pickup's groan deepened with every switchback, but the ridge kept rising, and then the pines parted like stage curtains. There it stood. Lila's first breath caught. The relatives hadn't lied. 1 room, maybe 550 square feet, roof bowed like an old horse, windows filmed with decades of pollen. The porch listed hard starboard, weeds nodding at the eaves. Her second breath came softer, mine. This crooked, wind-bitten box was hers. Its fixer-upper extreme, Noah offered, diplomatic. Lila laughed, one sharp bark that cracked the morning open. All the sleepless nights, the pink slips, the tape hems, spilled out in that sound. "Yeah, kid. Extreme." They waded through goldenrod to the door. 3rd key turned home. The door, swollen with 40 winters, resisted, then surrendered with a sigh that smelled of cedar shavings and old paper. No switch. No hum of power. Lila thumbed the flashlight. The beam slid over sheet-draped chairs, a fieldstone hearth, and walls of books, floor to ceiling, spines cracked but proud. Dust pirouetted in the cone of light. "Mama." Noah's voice floated from the threshold. He pointed beside the jamb. A single envelope, brittle ivory, pinned by a brass tack. "For Lila, open only when your boots cross this sill." Her pulse drummed in her ears as she slit it with a thumbnail. "Lila? You came. That alone proves the rest. I watched you at your father's burial, 19, Noah on your hip, no hand on your shoulder. I recognized the stance, stand because no one else will. This ridge kept me sane for 41 years. It also kept me busy. I wasn't idle, I was investing." Main room. 3rd board from the hearth. Black handle hammer in the red toolbox under the sink. Pry gently, then guard what you see with your life and your sons. Love always, Beatrice. Lila read it aloud, voice trembling on the last line. Noah's eyes were saucers. Treasure map. Something like that. The toolbox waited exactly as promised, red metal, no rust, lid oiled. The hammer lay on top, head polished from use. Beneath, Chisels aligned like silverware, levels, a small pry bar. Precision in every slot. She counted boards. 1, 2, 3. The third sat proud by a hair. She slipped the claw in, the plank lifted like a trapdoor. Darkness below, then the flashlight caught a metallic wink. Stacks. Neat, orderly bricks of yellow metal, each stamped. AU 999.9 to 1 kilogram. Lila's knees buckled. She lifted one bar, cold, dense, impossible. Noah whispered, "Mama, that's..." She pried the fourth board. More gold. The fifth. The sixth. The seventh. Each board lifted like a page in a forbidden ledger, revealing more bars, perfect, unmarked, glinting like captured sunlight. They worked without words, mother and son, until a 10-foot rectangle of subfloor lay exposed. Gold wasn't alone. Beneath the bars, vacuum-sealed bricks of currency, hundreds, 50s, some crisp, some so old the ink had bled into the plastic. A few bundles bore foreign portraits, queens, and presidents she didn't recognize. Noah's voice cracked the hush. "Mama, we gotta hide it again." Lila saw her own panic mirrored in his wide eyes. He was right, the cabin felt suddenly porous, every knothole an eye. They lowered the planks with the reverence of undertakers, tapping each flush with the hammer's rubber grip. Lila swept dust across the seams until the floor looked untouched for decades. She collapsed cross-legged amid the ghosts of footprints. Aunt B.A. hadn't been a recluse. She'd been a vault keeper. This wasn't a hideout, it was a fortress disguised as poverty. And she'd handed the keys to the one niece who knew the taste of empty cupboards. "What now?" Noah whispered. Lila drew him against her side. Wind prowled the eaves like a warning. "First rule," she said, lips sealed. "Not the cousins, not your teacher, not God himself till we know the game. But it's ours." "Yes." "And ours means ours to protect." Noah nodded, solemn beyond his years. Outside, the ridge kept its ancient silence, pines murmuring secrets older than money. Lila's gaze snagged on the bookshelf. One spine jutted a quarter-inch proud, the collected works of John Muir, leather-cracked but wrong somehow. She eased it free. Not a book. A hollow box. Inside, another envelope. For Lila, after the floor has spoken. She slit it with the hammer claw. "Lila? You covered the gift. Good. Greed is loud, caution is wealth. 41 years I mined more than solitude. Every dollar here was forged by sweat and silence, methods the world would call impossible, maybe illegal, but never stolen. The gold, $3.1 M. The cash, $1.9 M. Call it the foyer. When your heart slows and your doors are locked, find the panel behind the pantry's false back. The brass key opens the real inheritance. Plan like your life depends on it, because now it does. Trust the instincts that kept Noah fed on ramen and hope. All my faith, Beatrice. Lila's knees folded. She sank into a moth-eaten wingback, letter fluttering like a trapped bird. $5 million just to walk in the door. 10 hours ago she'd been counting quarters for milk. Now she sat on a fortune everyone believed was a joke. "Mama." Noah knelt, small hand on her knee. "You breathing?" "Barely." He glanced toward the kitchen. "Pantry door now." "Not yet." She folded the letter into a square small enough to hide in her bra. "First we make sure no one's watching." She rose, moving window to window, parting cobweb curtains. Nothing but mountains and the slow creep of afternoon shadow. Still, the hairs on her neck stood at attention. Nothing but pines and lengthening shadows, the sun bleeding molten orange across the ridge, the same hue as the bars now sealed beneath their boots. As the sky cooled to indigo, Lila felt the shift settle in her bones. The old life was ash, the new one glowed like embers under floorboards. The cabin sagged, yes, porch drunk on one side, but the foundation. She smiled, small and fierce. The foundation was bullion. They barely spoke on the descent. Fog boiled up the ravines, swallowing the headlights. Every pair of oncoming beams made Lila's pulse stutter. The single bar she'd slipped into her coat pocket pressed against her ribs, heavy, impossible, a second heart. Noah slept open-mouthed in the booster, cheeks flushed from altitude and wonder. Snow greeted them at the city limits, fat, deliberate flakes that erased tired tracks and sins alike. By the time the apartment key turned, 6 inches blanketed the lot. Lila flicked on the weather while Noah brushed teeth. Historic blizzard. Mountain passes closed. Expect 30 to 40 inches. Noah padded in, foam at the corner of his mouth. Back tomorrow? Roads say no, kid. But the gold. 41 years in the dark. It'll keep. Sleep was a rumor. Lila lay rigid, replaying the letter, the weight of the bar, the brass key now taped beneath the kitchen drawer. What if Valerie's husband did send surveyors? What if Raymond's almost public startup needed seed money? What if the wrong cousin connected dots? Her phone buzzed at 5:57 a.m., grey light, snow still falling sideways. Ms. Delgado? Thomas Carver. She was upright before the second ring. Problem. Several relatives, Raymond loudest, want the parcel's exact coordinates. Survey records, tax maps. He's floating the phrase private investigator. I've stonewalled, but deeds are public if someone digs. I slid down her spine. Can he get up there? Not in this storm. But the clock's ticking. Thank you. She peered through frost-laced blinds. The world was erased, cars buried, street signs humbled. Good. Time to armor up. 3 days, the storm owned the city. Lila clocked in at the warehouse, smiled through cracked lips, lifted boxes that suddenly felt weightless. In the break room she hunched over her phone. IRS reporting thresholds for found precious metals. Constructing a revocable trust in state, asterisk. Quiet title actions versus adverse possession. Every article birthed 3 new fears. This wasn't a Powerball ticket, it was a loaded gun with the serial numbers filed off. Day 4, the plows growled like waking bears. Lila watched orange lights carve tunnels through white and decided. Pack for cold, bud. Long underwear, 2 pairs of socks, the works. Noah's eyes went saucer-wide. Pantry door. Pantry door. And whatever's behind it. She slid the brass key onto a breakaway cord around her neck, tucked the fake book box into her coat lining, and checked the pickup's chains. The storm had bought them a head start. Now they ran. And a duffel of Conchili, instant oats, and 3 gallons of water. Lila locked the apartment behind them like she was sealing a vault. She'd come loaded this time. 1,000 lumen headlamp. Leatherwork gloves. 36-inch pry bar. A hasp and hardened padlock for the cabin door. A $19 burner phone from the gas station, still in the blister pack. She wasn't sure why the phone felt necessary, it just did. The interstate was clear, but the Forest Service road was a different animal. Snowplows had surrendered 2 miles in. The pickup fishtailed, chains clinking like loose change. They dug out once with a collapsible shovel, twice with a flattened cereal box when the shovel snapped. Noah's teeth chattered. Maybe we bail. Almost there, Lila lied. The map said 9 miles to go. Then headlights blinked ahead, hazard oranges pulsing through swirling flakes. An ancient Ford, half in the ditch. A man waved them down. Lila's foot hovered over the brake. Reverse was suicide on the ice. She cracked her window 2 inches. He was 70-something, skin like jerk beef, eyes the pale blue of glacier melt. Lost? Just passing through, Lila said. With a kid? In this? We manage. His gaze flicked to the roof rack, the chain tires, then to Noah's wide eyes. Saw your rig up by the Holloway place couple days back. Lila's pulse drummed in her ears. Wrong truck. He leaned in, breath fogging the glass. Lived on this ridge since Eisenhower. Knew B.A. Holloway 40 years. Good woman. But that cabin, he shook his head. Curiosity killed more cats up here. 3 break-ins I know of. One guy took a header off the east cliff. One vanished, truck still in the pull-off, door open, coffee cold. Third lost both legs to a bear trap older than sin. Noah's hand found Lila's sleeve. You threatening us? She asked, voice flat. The old man recoiled. Warning. Difference matters. He studied her face, eyes narrowing. You got her cheekbones. Family. Lila stayed silent. Family's different, I reckon. B.A. always said blood would show eventual. He shuffled back to his truck, reversed just enough for the pickup to scrape past. As they inched by, he hollered through the storm. Next cell dies tonight. Whatever you're doing, do it quick. And if the woods start talking back, run. Silence swallowed them after that. At the gate, Lila spotted what she'd missed in the dark before. 3 trail cams, olive drab, red LEDs winking like devil eyes in the pines. Beatrice had been watching. The cabin crouched under a fresh white mantle, smaller, meaner, lonelier. Boot prints, large, aggressive, circled the foundation, but the new padlock gleamed untouched. Someone had prowled, no one had entered. Inside, the floorboards lay innocent. Dust undisturbed. Lila exhaled. They worked like archaeologists. Headlamp beams carved the gloom. Noah's sharp eyes caught every anomaly. Main room discoveries were behind the hearthstone. There was a fireproof folio, mineral deeds, stock certificates from companies that no longer existed, a hand-drawn assay map initialed BH. Under the window seat there was a velvet pouches of gemstones, pigeon blood rubies, Colombian emeralds, a black opal the size of $50. And inside a hollowed newel post was a ring of skeleton keys, each tagged with cryptic numerals, 17B, 44D, 9X. Lila's hands shook as she catalogued. Every find whispered the same message. This is only the foyer. Mom, here. Noah's fingers wiggled a slim, leather-bound journal from between 2 warped atlases. The last entry was dated 5 weeks ago. Lila read aloud, voice low in the stale air. The final scene is sealed. 40 years of quiet digging. The cousins call me cracked, they'll never grasp the vein I struck. Lila will. She's forged a life on grit and silence. She'll know how to guard the motherlode. Primary vault, complete. Satellite caches, buried. Sentries, live. All that's left is the handoff. Main vault. Noah echoed. We already found the gold. Lila tapped the brass key against her lip. 4A, remember. They migrated to the kitchen, knotty pine cabinets, mouse droppings, cans of peaches older than Noah. Shelves came down in clatters. Behind the last tin of beans, a panel flush with the wall, same nicotine paint. The brass key slid home like it was greased yesterday. A narrow door side open onto concrete stairs, a poured, rebar-reinforced, alien beneath the log facade. Noah's headlamp jittered. Basements in cabins are weird. Stay on my hip. At the bottom, a vault door, brushed steel, biometric pad glowing soft blue. Lila's stomach dropped until she spotted the index card taped beside it. Your birth year plus Noah's. A mother's only real fortune. She punched the digits. A magnetic clunk. The door rolled inward on silent hinges. Lights, warm, museum grade, faded up automatically. The chamber was cathedral-sized, hewn from bedrock, air-cool and dry as a bank. The upstairs bars were pocket-lint. Left wall, floor-to-ceiling safe-to-deposit drawers, brass plates etched with dates. Right wall, climate cases, Monet water lilies, a Rembrandt sketch, a single page of Gutenberg ink. Center islands, coins in black velvet, Mayan jade, a Fabergé egg cracked open to reveal a tiny mechanical bird. But the back wall stole Lila's breath. A mosaic of Polaroids and glossy prints, thumbtacked in chronological order. In 1974, Beatrice, 20-something, hard hat lamp blazing, knee-deep in a quartz vein. In 1983, same woman, biceps corded, loading or carts beside men twice her size. In 1991, estate sale tables, Beatrice haggling over a dusty canvas that would later be appraised at 7 figures. In 2009, corner office, skyline behind her, signing documents with a Mont Blanc. In 2025, last photo, Beatrice at the vault door, frail but grinning, holding a hand-painted sign, for Lila, earned, not given. Noah's whisper floated in the hush. She mined it. Every ounce. A mahogany desk waited beneath the photos. One more envelope, thick, sealed with red wax. Lila broke it open. It said, "Dearest Lila, you're here. That means you listened, you waited, you protected. I started with a rucksack and a claim no one wanted. Worked the face when foreman said women belonged in the cook shack. Saved every bonus check. Bought IBM at $13, sold at $170. Bought Apple at split-adjusted 10 cents. Panic of '87, crash of '08, I purchased when blood ran in the streets. I lived on oatmeal and library books so compound interest could feast. I let the world brand me eccentric spinster because envy is a poorer security system than steel. Everything catalogued, appraised, IRS ready. No skeletons, only ledgers. Total estate, $150 million liquid, $200 million in hard assets. The upstairs was the decoy, this is the vein. Use it to build Noah a horizon wider than warehouse fluorescent lights, but remember, wealth screams. Silence is still your best bodyguard. With every ounce of pride. Beatrice Holloway. Lila's knees finally gave. She sat on the polished concrete, letter trembling, Noah's small hand warm in hers. The letter ended with the same neat M she'd seen on every envelope. Sarah folded it small, slid it into her bra beside the first bar she'd pocketed. The weight felt like a second heartbeat. Emma's fingers dug into her sleeve. Mom. I'm here. She wasn't. Part of her still floated in that underground cathedral, counting zeros. They had 60 seconds. Sarah killed the vault lights with the master switch, pocketed the leather journal, and herded Emma up the stairs. Steel door, clunk. Pantry panel, snick. Cans back on shelves in a frantic avalanche. Engines growled outside, then doors slammed like gunshots. Through the kitchen window. Robert in a black parka, breath pluming. Patricia clutching a designer purse like a shield. 2 second cousins Sarah barely recognized, plus a beefy guy in tactical boots, probably the surveyor. Robert's fist hammered the door. Sarah. Car's right there. Open up. Emma's eyes were saucers. Coat. Boots. Now, Sarah whispered. She palmed the pry bar, slipped the new padlock key onto her keyring, and cracked the front door 3 inches, chain still latched. Robert's smile didn't reach his eyes. Family meeting. Let's talk inside. State your business on my porch, Robert. Patricia piped up, voice syrupy. We're worried, dear. A single mom, a child, this shack. In a storm. Sarah's laugh came out sharp. Funny. You didn't worry when I was pulling doubles at Murphy's. Robert leaned in. Look, we know Maggie squirreled something away. Cash, stocks, something. Blood's thicker than wills. Share and share alike. Sarah felt the vault's cool air still clinging to her skin. Lawyer, read the will. You got poetry books. Go read them. The tactical guy shifted, scanning windows. Robert's smile thinned. Public records show a mining claim attached to this parcel. Our family claim. We're just inspecting. Inspect from the county office. Sarah started to close the door. Robert's boot wedged in. Open. Up. Emma's small voice behind her, Mom. Sarah's grip tightened on the pry bar inside the jam. Remove your foot or lose it. Robert's eyes flicked to the iron in her hand. He eased back half an inch. Headlights swept the clearing, high beams cutting through snow. An older Ford, same dented fender from the road, rumbled to a stop behind the SUVs. Henry. He climbed out slow, shotgun across his chest but not raised. Evening, folks. His voice carried the mountain's own gravel. Robert bristled. This is family business. Henry spat tobacco into the snow. Margaret said, the weather is finally changing. He looked straight at Sarah. That mean anything to you, miss? Sarah's pulse steadied. It does. Henry nodded once. Then these folks got 5 minutes to clear the gate for I call the sheriff. Storm's closin' the pass again. Patricia opened her mouth, Henry's stare shut it. Robert tried one last bluff. We'll be back with paperwork. Bring the Pope for all I care, Henry said. Gate locks at sunset. The cousin shuffled. Tactical boots looked at Robert, got no signal, and retreated. Engines coughed to life. Tires spun, then caught. The convoy reversed down the track, tail lights shrinking to red pinpricks. Henry waited until the last glow vanished. He tipped his hat to Sarah. Miss. To Emma, cold out here for a growing girl. Sarah found her voice. Aunt Maggie said we could trust you. She paid me to keep eyes on, not mouths. 20 years, I kept both shut. He glanced at the boot prints circling the cabin. Those weren't mine. I noticed. Henry pulled a business card from his coat, plain white, just a phone number. Storm buys you 2, maybe 3 days. After that, word spreads. You need anything, ride, rifle, or a hole to bury trouble, call before you dial 911. He climbed back into the Ford, reversed, and disappeared into the trees. Sarah closed the door, slid the deadbolt, and leaned her forehead against the wood. Emma's arm circled her waist from behind. We're okay, Sarah whispered. For now. Robert's voice cracked like thin ice. She lived on canned beans and library books for decades. That money's ours, blood right. The will said cabin. We all know there's more. Bootsteps crunched, someone circling, testing windows. Sarah raised her voice. I'm calling the sheriff. Robert laughed. No bars, sweetheart. Dead zone. Emma materialized at her elbow, holding a brick-sized handset Sarah had never seen. I used the sat phone. From the vault desk. Journal said it works on the moon if needed. Sarah's heart restarted. She leaned into the crack in the door. State troopers and Mr. Hartley are en route. You've got 10 minutes to unblock my driveway. Silence. Snow hissing against pine needles. Patricia's nervous trill, Robert, jail isn't a good look. Robert snarled, but engines coughed awake. Headlights swung, tires spun, and the convoy retreated, tail lights swallowed by white. Sarah and Emma waited a full hour, noses to the frosted pane. When only wind remained, they stepped into the storm. Emma pointed. Fresh ruts veered up the ridge, not down toward the gate. Sarah's breath plumed. Beatrice didn't build one door. Back inside, journal open on the table, she found the map. Route A is main road which is blocked. Route B was a old logging track, 22 miles to County Blacktop. Route C is emergency only, hand-scrawled in red. For WD chains. Prayer. Sarah looked at the vault steel mouth, the half-catalogued wonders, the files thick as phone books. Then at their cramped city apartment, peeling linoleum, eviction notice tucked behind the cereal box. We stay, she said. Tonight, tomorrow, however long the snow gives us. We learn the terrain before we move. They uncovered 2 more rooms before dark. Room 1, pantry annex, MREs, water bricks, propane bottles, a hand-crank radio. 6 months for 2. Room 2, behind the false back of the wood bin. AR-15, Glock 19, ammo cans labeled like soup. A shortwave rig. Manila folders, 1 for every cousin. Robert's file was fattest, 3 bankruptcies, 2 repos, a 2018 email to a probate shark, if the old back croaks, I want my cut. Sarah closed it, fingers numb. Paranoia looked a lot like foresight. They ate chili heated on the propane stove, label suspiciously crisp. Fire crackled. Outside, snow stacked like insulation. Emma leaned into her side. What happens to all the shiny stuff? Sarah stared into the flames. Margaret waited 40 years to decide. We get a long weekend. Wind rattled the shutters. Inside, the cabin no longer felt abandoned, it felt occupied. By secrets, by plans, by a future suddenly too large to fit through the old door. Sarah pulled the quilt higher around Emma's shoulders. For the first time since Emma's birth, the word tomorrow didn't taste like dread. The clipping trembled in Emma's small hands. Local girl dies in mountain accident. Rose Whitmore, 10, fell to her death while hiking near her home. Her mother, Margaret Whitmore, was treated for shock. No foul play suspected. Sarah felt the room tilt. All those years the family had called Maggie for childless, crazy, alone. She'd buried a daughter and then buried herself. Emma's voice cracked. She kept the room exactly the same. Sarah knelt, brushing dust from a porcelain doll with one cracked eye. Every toy, every ribbon, every crayon drawing pinned to the corkboard, frozen at 1985. On the nightstand, a child's diary, pink vinyl, tiny gold lock long since popped. The last entry, in wobbly pencil. Mommy says the mountain keeps our secrets. I dropped my lucky rock in the crack by the big pine. If I ever get lost, the mountain will show me home. Love, Rosie. Sarah closed it gently. Aunt Maggie hadn't been hiding from the world. She'd been hiding asterisk for asterisk it, protecting the fortune, yes, but also protecting the memory of a little girl no one else acknowledged. Downstairs, the sat phone buzzed against Sarah's hip, Mr. Hartley, no doubt. She let it ring out. Some truths weren't ready for lawyers. They moved through the rest of the upstairs like archaeologists in a tomb. Master bedroom closet, a false panel revealed a fire safe. Inside, Rose's birth certificate, a lock of auburn hair tied with faded ribbon, and a single gold nugget the size of a robin's egg, Rose's first find, age 6. Attic hatch, pull-down stairs led to a widow's walk encased in snow. From the tiny cupola, Sarah spotted Henry's Ford track circling the ridge like a shepherd's orbit. Under the loose floorboard in Rose's room, a child-sized metal box. Inside, a hand-drawn treasure map, X marks the spot behind the waterfall. A note in Maggie's adult handwriting on the back, asterisk for the next little girl who needs to believe in magic. Emma traced the X with her finger. We should go. When the snow clears. Sarah nodded, throat tight. We will. They descended to the kitchen. Sarah poured 2 mugs of reheated coffee, hers, and Coco, Emma's. Outside, the storm had paused, the world held its breath under 3 feet of white. Sarah opened the leather journal to a fresh page and began to write her own first entry. Day 1 of inheritance. Discovered, $150 million in assets, 1 guardian named Henry, 1 ghost named Rose. Lesson, some fortunes are measured in more than gold. Emma leaned over, added in careful block letters. P.S. The mountain keeps secrets. But it gives them back to the right hearts. Sarah kissed the top of her head. The fire popped. The vault hummed below. And for the first time in 12 years, Sarah wasn't counting hours until the next shift. She was counting days to learn, to plan, to decide what a mother does with a kingdom built on love and loss. The snow would melt. The wolves would return. But the cabin, their cabin, stood on bedrock now. And beneath it, a little girl's lucky rock still waited by the waterfall, ready to guide them home. The alert pulse read, motion, East Ridge, 14 minutes and 7 seconds. Sarah's stomach dropped. The timestamp was now. She cycled through feeds. Camera 7, a snowmobile, matte black, idling behind a stand of spruce. Camera 8, 2 figures in white camo, rifles slung, moving in practiced formation toward the tree line. Emma's whisper barely stirred the air. They came back. Sarah killed the office lights, plunging them into gloom lit only by the monitor's cold glow. She grabbed the sat phone, thumb hovering over Hartley's speed dial, then stopped. Think like Maggie. She opened the security journal to the page tabbed Intruder Protocol. Do not engage. Activate safe room. Trip silent alarm, Henry. Sarah flipped to the cabin blueprint. A red dotted line snaked from the office, under the stairs, to a panel in the pantry floor. Coats. Boots. Now. They moved fast but quiet. Sarah palmed the Glock from the weapons cache, checked the mag, 15 rounds, 1 in the chamber. She hated the weight, but hated the alternative more. In the pantry, she pried up the false floorboard. A hatch. Steel. Biometric pad. Emma pressed her whole hand to the scanner, pre-programmed, Maggie's foresight again. A soft thunk. The hatch lifted on hydraulic hiss. Narrow stairs descended into darkness. Sarah flicked on her headlamp. Concrete walls, insulated pipes, a steel door at the bottom. Inside, a Spartan bunker. 2 bunks, chemical toilet, MREs, a landline hardwired to Henry's cabin, and a bank of monitors mirroring the office feeds. Emma pointed to a new alert, proximity, 40 yards, north porch. The intruders were already at the house. Sarah hit the hard line. 1 ring. Henry's voice, calm as bedrock, talk. 2 armed, snowmobile, East Ridge. They're on the porch. Copy. ETA 6 minutes. Lockdown engaged. A heavy clunk reverberated through the cabin, steel shutters descending over every window, magnetic seals engaging. On the monitor, the intruders froze as the cabin transformed into a fortress. One tried the door, padlock held. The other raised a rifle, but first, to smash a window, then stopped. A low whomp 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 rose outside. Henry's voice crackled again. Drones up. Thermal shows 2 heat signatures, no backup. Stand by. The snowmobile revved, spun, and fishtailed down the ridge, abandoning the foot soldiers. Sarah watched the two figures hesitate, then sprint after it, swallowed by white. Henry arrived in 4 minutes, not 6. His Ford slid to a stop beside a county sheriff's SUV, lights off, but official. He climbed the porch, shotgun loose at his side, deputy behind him. Sarah opened the hatch, Glock lowered but ready. Henry tipped his hat. "Evening, Looks like your cousin's hired some independent contractors. Deputies taking prints off the snowmobile, stolen, plates swapped. We'll trace it." The deputy bagged a discarded cigarette butt. "DNA's a wonderful thing." Sarah exhaled shakily. "They'll keep coming." Henry's eyes flicked to the bunker hatch. "Maggie built for siege. You just passed the first test." He handed her a small remote. "Panic button. One press, I'm here, day, night, blizzard, or hell freeze. Second press brings the cavalry." Emma peeked out. "What about the waterfall?" "Rose's map." Henry's weathered face softened. "Spring thaw. I'll take you myself. Mountain keeps its promises." Sarah looked at the monitors, empty snow, silent woods. The cabin stood sealed, secrets intact. She closed the hatch, reset the locks, and led Emma back to the fire. Outside, the storm had returned, erasing every track but Henry's. Tomorrow would bring lawyers, filings, maybe court. But tonight, the vault hummed, the diary waited, and a little girl's lucky rock slept under ice. Sarah pulled the ledger into her lap and began to read. Not as a cashier counting pennies, but as a mother inheriting an empire. One deliberate page at a time. Sarah 2023. Sarah's throat closed. Maggie had stood in the cracked parking lot, maybe under the flickering street lamp, watching through the blinds while Sarah counted quarters for the laundromat. A ghost who'd never felt like family, until now. Emma's voice was small. "She knew us." Sarah pulled her close. "She chose us." The office felt smaller, warmer. Outside, the storm had quieted to a hush, snow slid off the roof in soft avalanches. Sarah opened the security journal to the page Henry had mentioned, Safe House Network. Safe House Number 1, 47 acres, Bitterroot Valley, MT geothermal, off-grid, airstrip. Number 2, Brownstone, Savannah, GA. Under LLC Rosebud Holdings. Number 3, Penthouse, Vancouver, British Columbia. Biometric entry, Panic Suite. Number 4, Working Ranch, Sonora, Mexico. Staff loyal to Henry. Each annotated in Maggie's tidy script, go bag in pantry safe. Keys in Rose's music box. Emma traced the Montana pin on the map. We could disappear. Or we could choose where we appear, Sarah corrected. She powered up the main computer, password, Rose 1985. Desktop folders. Legal, ironclad will, video testament, psych evils. Financial, live portfolios, crypto wallets, offshore trusts. Family, dossiers thicker than phone books. Robert's foreclosure notices. Patricia's husband's embezzlement probe. Michael's betting slips from 3 casinos. Rose, a single video file, timestamped the day before Maggie died. Sarah clicked. Maggie, frail but clear-eyed, sat at this very desk. The camera wobbled, self-recorded. If you're watching, you found the vault. Good. I was never crazy, just careful. I lost my daughter to a moment of distraction. I won't lose her legacy to greed. Sarah, you've already protected Emma with empty pockets and a full heart. Now protect her with full pockets and the same heart. The world will offer you yachts and private jets. Take the ranch in Montana. Teach Emma to ride. Take the brownstone. Let her paint the walls whatever damn color she wants. Take the joy, that's the real inheritance. And when the vultures come, remember, steel spines don't bend. They cut. The video ended. Emma wiped her eyes with her sleeve. She saw me. Sarah saved the file to the burner phone, then to a thumb drive labeled Rose. She opened the pantry safe, inside, for go bags, each with passports, real and backup, $50,000 cash, and a handwritten note in Maggie's script. Pick a door. Any door. The mountain will show you the way. Sarah looked at Emma. Tomorrow the snow stops. The day after, the wolves come. Emma's chin lifted, steel spine, 12 years old. Then we pick a door before they do. Sarah smiled, the first real one in days. She powered down the system, reset the alarms, and led Emma upstairs to Rose's room. They'd sleep there tonight, among faded unicorns and crayon rainbows, because some treasures weren't gold. They were the sound of a little girl's laughter, echoing across 40 years, finally finding its way home. Crack. Not wood. Not ice. A single gunshot, muffled by snow but unmistakable. Sarah's head snapped toward the monitors. Camera 3, muzzle flash, 200 yards east, behind the woodpile. Camera 4, a figure in white camo dropping to a knee, rifle raised, toward the cabin. Emma's breath hitched. Sarah shoved the cash bricks into the nearest go bag, zipped it, slung it over her shoulder. Office. Now. They sprinted. Sarah killed the lights, locked the office door behind them, and hit the panic button Henry had given her, once. The sat phone buzzed instantly. Henry's voice, low and lethal. 2 shooters, ridge line. I'm 90 seconds out. Get to the bunker. Another crack. The office window spider-webbed, bulletproof glass held, but the message was clear. Sarah yanked open the floor safe under the desk. Inside, the hand-drawn map Maggie promised. 3 red XS on the mountain, bunker number 2, number 3, number 4, plus a dotted line to the lake boathouse. She grabbed it, stuffed it into the bag with the cash. Mom. Stairs. Go. They flew down the pantry hatch into the safe room. Sarah sealed the steel door, spun the wheel. Monitors flickered to life, thermal showed 2 heat signatures advancing, slow and professional. Henry's Ford roared into frame, headlights off, sliding to a stop between the cabin and the shooters. Shotgun boomed, once, twice, warning shots into the snow. A bullhorn crackled. Drop the weapons. Sheriff's Department. You're on camera. The figures froze. One bolted. The other raised his rifle. Henry's third shot took the snow at his feet. The man dropped the weapon, hands up. Sirens wailed in the distance, real ones this time. Sarah exhaled, shaky. Emma's small hand found hers. We're okay, Sarah whispered. For now. On the monitor, Henry cuffed the second shooter while deputies swarmed. He looked straight into camera 1, tipped his hat, and mouthed. Told you. Steel spine. Sarah laughed, wet, ragged, alive. She opened the go bag, pulled out Maggie's last note, and added her own line in pen. They came with guns. We answered with a grandmother's love. The mountain kept its promise. She folded it, slipped it into Emma's pocket. Where to, Captain? Emma asked, eyes bright despite the chaos. Sarah glanced at the map. Bunker number 2, 4 miles north, geothermal heat, satellite uplink, stocked for a year. North, she said. We'll watch the sunrise from a new porch. Emma grinned. Can we paint the walls? Any damn color you want. Outside, the storm had broken. Dawn bled gold across the snow. The same color as the bars beneath their feet. The same color as the future they now held in their hands. Sarah's arms tightened around Emma until the tremor in her own chest stilled. Unfit. The word tasted like rust. She snatched the sat phone, hit Henry. One ring. Roads'll be passable by noon, he said before she spoke. Countyplo's already on the ridge. Robert's SUV was spotted at the motel in town, lawyer plates on a second car. Sarah's voice didn't shake. He's filing for custody. Claims I'm endangering Emma. A beat of silence. Maggie planned for that, too. Tell me. Grab the rose thumb drive from the safe. Slot it in the office computer. Folder Guardian Angel. Password EMMA 2025. Sarah was already moving. Emma followed, sat phone clutched like a lifeline. Thumb drive in. Folder opened. Guardian Angel. Video diary, Sarah, every school play, every ER visit for Emma's asthma, every double shift, time-stamped, geo-tagged, narrated by Maggie in voiceover. Affidavits from teachers, pediatricians, neighbors, Sarah Bennett is an exemplary mother. Financial records, Sarah's bank statement showing every dollar earned, every bill paid on time despite the odds. A sealed court filing, pre-drafted, ready to counter any competency challenge. A second video, Maggie, same frail frame, same steel eyes, if anyone tries to weaponize the courts against my heir, release this. I was of sound mind. I chose Sarah because she's the only one who never asked for a dime. Try to take her daughter, and you'll face me from beyond the grave. Sarah's laugh cracked like ice breaking. Maggie had built a legal moat. Henry's voice again, Deputy owes me a favor. I'll have a cruiser parked at the gate by 1100. Robert shows with papers, he gets served *our papers first. Emma tugged Sarah's sleeve. What about Michael? Sarah looked out the window. Michael's footprints already filling with snow, erased, like a promise kept. He just bought us time, she said. And maybe saved himself. She opened the safe house map. Bunker number 2 glowed under her fingertip. For miles. Snowshoes in the mudroom. A sat phone tower on the ridge. A helicopter pad, cleared and heated. Pack light, Sarah told Emma. 1 bag. We leave at first light. Emma's eyes shone. Are we running? No, baby. We're choosing. Sarah zipped the go bag, $500,000 cash, a rose thumb drive, Maggie's diary and Emma's crane map to the waterfall. She slung the Glock on her hip, not as a threat, but as a full stop. Outside, the sky cracked open, pale winter sun spilling gold across the snow. The mountain exhaled. Sarah locked the cabin door, left the key under the mat for Henry. They stepped into the white, snowshoes crunching. Behind them, the cabin stood silent. No longer a vault, but a lighthouse. And ahead, for miles of untouched powder led to a new porch. A new name on the mailbox. A new life built on the only inheritance that mattered. The freedom to say, not today. Sarah stared at the sat phone like it was a live wire. Going public meant stepping into the spotlight, exactly what Maggie had avoided for 40 years. But shadows were where Robert thrived. She opened the Guardian Angel folder again. One file she hadn't clicked, Media Kit. Inside, a pre-written press release titled, Single Mother Inherits $350 Million Legacy of Self-Made Mining Pioneer Margaret Whitmore. Photos, Maggie in the 70s with a pickaxe, Sarah's own diner name tag, Emma's school portrait. A 3-minute video, Maggie, lucid, fierce, I chose Sarah Bennett because she never asked for a handout. She asked for extra shifts. That's the American dream I built. Sarah's pulse steadied. Maggie hadn't just left money. She'd left narrative. She dialed Hartley back. Schedule the press conference. Day after tomorrow. Courthouse steps. I want every camera in the state. A pause. You sure? Positive. Next call, Henry. Need a plow at dawn. And a favor. Name it. Bring the county's biggest news van. I'm giving them the exclusive. Henry chuckled. Maggie'd hate the circus, but love the checkmate. Dawn, day 3. The plow carved a path wide enough for the 4WD from the tunnel. Sarah loaded, go bag with $500,000, a rose thumb drive, Maggie's diary and Emma's watercolor of the waterfall. For luck, Emma said. They emerged from the shed into blinding white. Henry waited in his Ford, news van idling behind, logo KTVX Channel 8. The reporter, a sharp-eyed woman named Dana, hopped out. Mr. Caldwell said you've got the story of the decade. Sarah handed her the press kit. Exclusive. But we leave in 5. Robert's convoy just hit the plowed road. Dana's grin was feral. Lead the way. In the courthouse, 48 hours later. Snow melted into slush under a weak spring sun. Reporters crammed the steps. Robert's SUV screeched in late, Patricia pale, lawyer clutching a thick folder. Sarah stepped to the podium in her diner uniform, name tag polished, boots still dusted with mountain snow. Emma beside her in a new coat, chin high. Microphones bristled. Sarah didn't flinch. My great-aunt Margaret Whitmore wasn't a hermit. She was a mother who turned grief into gold, literally. She left me $350 million because I know what it's worth, one good night's sleep. One school trip paid. One less shift until 2 a.m. Robert wants to call me unfit. Let's talk fitness. I paid rent on time with 2 jobs. Emma's never missed a doctor's visit. Margaret watched us for years and chose you. She held up the rose thumb drive. Every sacrifice documented. Every promise kept. Flashbulbs popped. Robert's lawyer tried to interrupt. Dana from Channel 8 cut him off. Sir, the mining claim you're contesting? Public records show Margaret filed it in 1978. You weren't born yet. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Sarah leaned in. Robert, you want custody? File it. I'll counter with 40 years of Maggie's cameras, Henry's testimony, and a mother who's never missed a bedtime. She turned to Emma. Anything to add? Emma stepped forward, voice clear. My mom's the strongest person I know. And Aunt Maggie picked her because she earned it. The crowd cheered. Epilogue, 3 months later. The cabin became the Rose Whitmore Foundation, a retreat for single parents, scholarships funded by 1 gold bar at a time. Robert's petition? Dismissed with prejudice. His lawyer dropped him after the video of him picking the gate lock went viral. Sarah kept the diner uniform in a frame on the wall. Beside it, Emma's watercolor of the waterfall, now the foundation's logo. And every spring, they returned to the mountain. Henry guided them to the crack by the big pine. Emma dropped in a new lucky rock, painted gold. Sarah whispered to the wind. We didn't run, Maggie. We chose. The mountain kept the secret. But for the first time, it let the light in. Preliminary hearing, Courtroom 3B. 9:17 a.m., 3 weeks after the vault. Judge Morrison, voice like a gavelled Miss Bennett, the $500,000 cash withdrawal. Explain. Sarah, standing, diner apron swapped for a navy blazer, voice steady. Your Honor, the cash was running money, left by Margaret Whitmore in a grandfather clock with explicit instructions, sometimes you need to move fast. I withdrew it to protect my daughter, not flee with her. Chen cues the projector. A scanned note in Maggie's handwriting fills the screen, date-stamped, notarized. Fitzgerald, scoffing convenient fairy tale. Chen, smoothed objection. The note is probated evidence, filed with the estate. Also, Your Honor, we'd like to play Exhibit A, Margaret Whitmore's video testament, recorded 6 months ago. Screen flickers. Maggie, sharp-eyed, fills the frame. Maggie, on screen. If anyone tries to separate Sarah from Emma using flight risk nonsense, know this: I left running money because taught Sarah how to disappear if the wolves got too close. She's using it exactly as intended, to keep my great-granddaughter safe. Gasps Ripple. Robert's face purples. Judge Morrison eyebrow arched. Mr. Fitzgerald, your unstable mother. A narrative just aged poorly. Fitzgerald floundering. The isolation, taking a child to a remote. Sarah cutting in. Calm fire. The cabin has geothermal heat, satellite uplink, and a pediatrician on retainer, Dr. Patel, who's treated Emma since birth. We were safer there than in our apartment with a broken deadbolt and Robert's hired pies circling the block. Chen slides a folder across, signed affidavit from Dr. Patel, photos of the cabin's medical kit, Henry security logs. Emma, standing without prompting, voice cleared. Your Honor, my mom read me Charlotte's Web by flashlight when the power went out. Robert's never read me a bedtime story in his life. Laughter in the gallery. Judge Morrison's lips twitch. Judge Morrison, anything further, Mr. Fitzgerald? Fitzgerald sits. Defeated. Judge Morrison, gavel snap, emergency petition denied. Custody remains with Sarah Bennett. Mr. Whitmore, your next filing better cite *actual endangerment, or I'll cite you for frivolous litigation. Court adjourned. Gavel. Cheers. Robert storms out, Patricia trailing, clutching her pearls. Courthouse steps, 11:42 a.m. Cameras swarm. Sarah and Emma descend, hand in hand. Reporter, shoving MIC, Miss Bennett, will you sue for defamation? Sarah smiling, Maggie steel in her eyes, we're launching the Rose Whitmore Foundation tomorrow. First grant, $1 million to single-parent shelters. Robert wants headlines? We'll give him legacy. Emma holds up her watercolor, waterfall logo. Flashes explode. Henry, leaning against his Ford, tipping his hat, told you, girl. Steel spine cuts clean. Sarah, to the sky, soft. We didn't just inherit your empire, Maggie. We lit it up. The mountain, miles away, catches the sun. Gold on snow. A promise kept. Sarah, glancing at Emma, then back to the ROA, only if they force my hand. Maggie didn't leave us weapons, she left us truth. And truth is the sharpest blade when you've got nothing to hide. She merges onto the highway, modest sedan, no flash, just like Maggie taught. Emma grinning, so we're keeping the diner uniform. Sarah laughing, framed in the foundation lobby. Reminder, we started here. The Rose Whitmore Foundation, 6 months later. Grand opening gala, former cabin transformed, sunlit halls, kids' laughter echoing. $10 million in scholarships awarded. Robert's business quietly bought out by a shell corp, Sarah's, undisclosed. Patricia's husband resigns after anonymous audit leaks. Michael, clean, sober, repaying debts, runs the foundation's second chance program. Sarah, on stage, Emma beside her, Maggie hid to survive. We shine to thrive. This isn't an inheritance, it's a launch pad. She cuts the ribbon. Behind her, the waterfall logo glows, gold paint, Emma's brushstrokes. Henry, in the back, tipping his hat, steel spine, girl. Mountains proud. Sarah, to the sky, soft. We didn't just keep your secrets, Maggie. We set them free. The lucky rock by the big pine catches the sun. Still there. Still gold. Still guiding the next mother home. Margaret Whitmore Foundation, 6 months later. Headquarters, a converted warehouse downtown, murals by single mom artists on every wall. $28 million disbursed, 212 businesses launched, 1,400 jobs created. Maria's cleaning empire now employs 42 women. Her son starts college on a Rose Scholarship. Robert's latest lawsuit dismissed, frivolous, judge's exact word. Jennifer runs the GED to CEO program. 38 moms passed their exams last quarter. Sarah at the quarterly board meeting, Emma beside her with a laptop. We're not giving money away. We're investing in the women Maggie and I used to be. Henry grunts approval, passes around coffee in chipped mugs. No crystal, no pretense. Emma, presenting the new website. Check the legacy map, every grant plotted. Click Maria's dot, her cruise route, her son's graduation pic. Click the food truck, today's menu, tomorrow's catering gig. Grandmother's 90th, family estate. Robert corners Sarah by the dessert table. Robert, hissing, you're bleeding the estate dry on charity. Sarah calm, handing him a report. Actually, the foundation's ROI is 340%. Every dollar granted returns $3.40 in local wages, taxes, and tuition. Maggie's gold is growing, Robert. Just not in your pocket. Jennifer appears, arm around a former grantee, a welder now running her own shop. Jennifer, Uncle Robert, meet Carla. She fixed your tractor last week. Charged you union rate. Robert sputters. Carla winks. The cabin, 1 year later. Spring thaw. Sarah and Emma snowshoe to the Big Pine. Emma, dropping a new rock, painted with the foundation logo for the next mom who thinks she's alone. Sarah, to the wind, we didn't hoard your light, Maggie. We amplified it. The waterfall roars, gold in sunlight. A river of second chances. Flowing down the mountain. And into the world. Margaret Whitmore Foundation, 1 year anniversary. Community Center, same cracked linoleum where Sarah once mopped floors. $47 million disbursed. 312 businesses launched. 2,114 job created. Foster Youth Wing opens next quarter. Emma's proposal, unanimously approved. Sarah, on stage, simple black dress, Emma in blue beside her. A year ago, I counted tips in nickels. Tonight, we count lives changed. Photo cycle on the wall. Maria's crew in matching polos. A foster teen's first apartment key. David mentoring a welder in steel-toed boots. Emma taking the MIC, 13 now, voice steady. Aunt Maggie hid her light under floorboards. We turned it into a searchlight. Asterisk, Henry in the back, eyes wet, hat in hand. Michael, from the crowd, clean-shaven, badge pinned, recovery coach. I was the $50,000 envelope. Now I'm the guy handing out next envelopes. The cabin, spring equinox. Waterfall roars. Sarah and Emma stand at the Big Pine. Emma dropping a new rock, painted with the foundation logo, for every mom who thinks the mountain forgot her. Sarah to the wind, we didn't just inherit your empire, Maggie. We democratized it. The crack by the pine glimmers. Dozens of painted rocks now. A mosaic of second chances. Glinting gold in the sun. Epilogue, 5 years later. Foundation HQ, a campus built on the old cabin ridge. $1.2 billion in assets, still growing. 17,000 lives directly impacted. Robert sells his house, moves to Florida, silent. Emma, 18, accepts Stanford on a Rose Scholarship, her own design. Sarah, at commencement, diner uniform framed behind her. Maggie taught us, grief carves the mine. Love strikes the vein. Community refines the gold. She pins a gold waterfall brooch on Emma's gown. The first one Maggie ever forged. Passed hand to hand. Mother to daughter. Legacy to legacy. The mountain keeps the secret, but now it sings it to the world. Margaret Whitmore Foundation, 18 months after the vault. National partnership announced. 47 states, 1,200 local chapters. $92 million disbursed. 1,847 businesses launched. Foster Youth Wing now funds college plus housing for 400 aging out teens. Robert's note framed in the lobby, "You win." Patricia teaches etiquette classes for grant recipients' kids. Sarah at the partnership press conference, same black dress, now with a rose brooch. Maggie hid her fortune to protect it. We share ours to protect people. Emma, 14, live streaming from the back. Caption: Legacy equals Wi-Fi plus hope. The cabin summer solstice. Restored, open 1 weekend a month for foundation retreats. Sarah to the vault photos, you chose control. We chose connection. She touches Maggie plus Rose. A new frame beside it, Sarah plus Emma at the gala, arms around Maria. Emma, adding a rock to the pine, painted with the national logo, for every kid who thinks 18 means alone. Sarah's porch, 2:14 a.m. Hot chocolate, city stars fighting light pollution. Emma laptop glowing, college essay draft, sudden wealth didn't change my zip code. It changed my horizon. Sarah soft, Maggie never got to see you grow up. But she built the runway. A breeze stirs, warm, pine-scented. The cabin's approval, carried 40 miles on the wind. Epilogue, 10 years later. Foundation valuation, $2.1 billion. Campus on the old ridge, dormitories, maker spaces, a Rose Whitmore library. Emma, 22, addresses the first national cohort. My mom turned a hermit's hoard into a launch pad. Your turn. Sarah in the back, diner uniform framed on the wall. We didn't just inherit gold. We forged it into key. The waterfall roars below. No longer a secret, but a river of open doors. The mountain kept the gold. They gave away the light.